Music publishing agreements.
A couple of weeks ago, we stated that an unambiguous identification of a musical work requires the work title and all authors unambiguously identified with their capacities. Please note that this data is immutable. When a musical work is fixed, that is all what is defined and will never change. But it tells us nothing about how royalties will be collected or shared. If there is a single author, then they have all related rights at this point, but if there are multiple ones, the situation is not that simple. They have to split their rights among them. So, let's say that a work was created by a composer and a lyricist, and they agree to split their shares 50-50. In some countries, splits are fixed and may not be 50-50, but we will ignore this for now, as in most countries this is left entirely to writers. Please note that this is true also in the Anglo-Saxon common law, also in cases of work for hire, though this and the next step may seem to happen simultaneously. In a software solution, this step should be separate, as is the case in Matia's free open source Django music publisher. The link to the playlist about this tool is in the top right corner now. Let's see how to enter a work with two writers. Again, we enter the title, skip down to the Writers in Work section. We'll select Carmen Cartoon and designate her as composer. Then we add another row, in which we will select Tony Toonson and designate him as lyricist. We will then put 50% for each in the relative share field. DMP is a tool for original music publishers, so before we proceed, we must talk about publishing agreements, which are really contracts. Depending on who the parties are, we have two basic kinds. An agreement between a writer and a publisher is called original agreement. Original agreement can include multiple writers, and even multiple publishers per writer. The latter case is called co-publishing, which will be covered later in this season. Agreements can be for one or more specified works. In that case, they are called specific, or they can be for all works by a writer, in which case they are called general agreements. An agreement between two publishers is called sub-publishing agreement. It can also be general or specific. This gives us a matrix of 4 basic agreement types. Today we will look at original agreements, both general and specific, while the other two will be covered in detail at a later date. We have to cover a lot of ground before we will be ready to explain them properly and give practical examples. Carmen Cartoon has signed a general original agreement, so we open her details. We have covered the top part of this form a couple of weeks ago, so let's look at the general agreement section. We will mark the general agreement checkbox. This is a good time to explain society assigned agreement numbers. Some collecting societies like SARS-M, PRS, and many others, require agreements to be registered before a work registration can be done. In most, this is still done through their web portal. At the end of the agreement registration process, they assign their agreement number. If it is an original general agreement, then this number goes here. Save. Tony Toonson, on the other hand, has signed an original specific agreement for this work alone. The society assigned agreement number in that case goes here. As we have valid original agreements with both writers, we will mark them both as controlled, and then save. Let's quickly make a registration file for this work and open it. The video that explains it in more details is linked in the top right corner now. Let's just have a quick look at PWR, Publisher for Writer Records. For both Cartoon and Toonson, we can see who the original publisher is and next to it are society assigned agreement numbers. It is that simple. This is the third CWR file we have made so far, but unlike the previous two, which were version 3.0, this one is version 2.1. In the next Saturday seminar, we will be discussing origins of musical works, film, theatre and, most notably, music libraries. Please subscribe and hit the bell, so you don't miss it. Also, share with people who might find our content helpful. Here are a series about music publishing. Common Works Registration. Django Music Publisher, as well as Latona, DMP's large commercial sibling for administrators and sub-publishers, and more demanding original publishers. See ya.